Welcome back to Building Matters on the 1990 CR125 rebuild. Today, we're doing the forks. Got them all cleaned up yesterday, and we're doing single cartridge forks. They quit making them in the 90s, and I'm pretty sure I haven't done a set of fork seals in any since then. So it's kind of an adventure. But I do remember I've got this skinny 17 millimeter for them. I get the cap off on the spring, so we will be using that. We don't have a fancy vise to hold your forks, so here I just use the triple clamp. It has a clamp to hold it, use it against my body as a wrench. And now we're draining the oil. Oil doesn't look as bad as I expected. For a 35-year-old bike, I expected much worse. Now we'll break out that thin 70 millimeter I was showing you to take the top cap off. This is a single cartridge or a single chamber fork, so you don't have to loosen the bottom end on the rebound adjusters, as most of you know on these modern bikes. Now standard fork seal disassembly. Pull the dust cap, the circlip in it that holds the seal in, and then slide hammer the seal right out. Same as basically every fork I've ever worked on ever. A little filthy in here, but I've seen worse. If you have a parts washer, go ahead and clean that out. Use air to blow it all out. But again, I'm going to do the poor man thing. Just spray it out with WD-40 and then blow it out with air. Here I'm taking a clean rag to clean those grooves out, to get all that oil and debris out, to make sure the clip goes back in real nice. Again, this is kind of the same as a dual chamber fork. You pop your inner bushing, slide it off, and then you'll have your other bushing, then your washer, the seal, the clip, and then your dust seal. And I always lay it out in the order in which I take it apart, so that way I know which way it goes back together. And again, you're going to want to clean all these parts. I even lay the old parts out just so I know where they go, even though they're going to get replaced with brand new. Also, inspect your bushings. We'll talk more about that later. Again, there's more cleaning. You want to get rid of as much of that old filthy oil that's got all the metallic parts in it, so you can have clean oil and a smooth working fork. Okay, here I am lining up the new seals with the old seals, just so I know everything's in place and in order. Now I've cleaned everything off, gotten rid of the WD-40, used some lacquer thinner so the tape will stick. Putting tape over the sharp, rigid edge so that way it doesn't cut the new seal, or dust seal for that matter. Only one trip around, you don't want it too thick. And then I use lots of lubrication with brand new oil. I even lube the inside and the outside of the seal. Lubing the outside makes them slide in and much easier. On with the new dust seal. I'll kind of tip it at an angle, get the bottom edge started, and then on a pushing up and over motion, get the top edge over that lip, slide it on, here comes the clip, and now the actual fork seal. Again, the same push down and pull up and over motion, the washer, and then we'll take the tape off so we can get the bushings on. Again, dropping a little fresh oil on there for lube. Here's the looser outer bushing, and then the tighter bushing. Most of you have proper dexterity and finger strength. We'll be able to just simply pull this bushing apart and pop it up into place. But as you can see, my fingers don't really work right, so I got a screwdriver to do it, just to make my life a little easier. Now we're going to slide the outer two back over. We have to get that loose outer bushing to slide down in the groove inside. Doing that at this angle, horizontal to the ground, you're kind of fighting gravity, so you've got to angle your tube just right. I use a screwdriver to get started, then slowly work my way around, getting the edge just started inside. It's sometimes easier to take it off, put it all on a rag, and work vertically, because then gravity assists you rather than works against you. Now I'm going to slide the washer down And if you have the right size fork seal driver, they're perfect to get that bushing seated. Here I am putting the end cap on just so it doesn't fall off. And here you can see I've gone vertical, and to get that bushing seated properly, using a narrow punch to gently, very gently tap on that washer, going around and around to get the bushing seated tight all the way down. With the bushing seated all the way, we're ready to put the seal in. I start the seal by hand, just push it in as far as you possibly can. Since I don't have the right fork seal driver, cut the old seal, wrap it around, and then you can hammer on the old seal to drive the new seal down into where it goes without damaging your new seal. That doesn't work near as well as an actual fork seal driver, but if you don't want to buy drivers for every size fork, this is a great way to do it. Here I am, got the fork seated solid, putting the clip in, getting the clip gently pushed down and into place, locked in right where we want it to be. Slide down the dust seal over the top. We're almost done. Now loosen the cap and simply pour in the right measurement of oil. And the modern bikes, as in late 90s forward, again, dual cartridge, 2 oil containers. These single cartridge or single chamber, all the oil goes in at once, so it takes a lot of oil. So much that I had to do it in 2 measurements because my container wasn't big enough. Tighten the cap back up. Again, tighten by hand. We'll tighten it all the way using our cheater wrench of the top triple clamp so we can get it nice and snug how we want it. And we're all set, all ready to go. Simply repeat the same thing on the other side. And of course, test it out and make sure you're where you want it to be. Yeah. All right, your bushings inside, sometimes they get worn. They get too worn, that causes the fork seals to blow. I like to check it, hold it, and take the fork leg and wiggle her back and forth. You're going to have a little slop, just because of tolerances, but it shouldn't be much. If you got a lot, then it needs to swap out the bushings inside. And you can also see how worn they are. But these really tight, so we're good to go. All right, that's all. The more difficult it is, when you get good at it, it'll take 10 to 15 minutes. You can crank them out. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe.